Chris Grier met with the media talking pre-draft press conference. Let's break it down. What is up, Finn fans? I was planning on doing linebackers video, but that got pushed because of this press conference that I want to talk about. I haven't seen nor read any of the transcripts. And again, if you want to see or read exactly what's going on, you can find the transcripts on their website. You can also find the live press conference on their YouTube channel, the Miami Dolphins, that is, of Chris Grier talking the draft. GMs normally do this the week before the draft, and it is tomorrow will be an exact week until the draft. I can't wait. Oh, unless you're watching this on Thursday, then today is the draft. But I pushed the linebackers video back, and the corner and safeties video I'm going to put into one video. So you can get a 2 collab in one video. You're going to get Professor Clump and you're going to get Jason Sarney in one video. That's going to come out Monday. And I'm just going to talk about the secondaries. So moving things around, but you're still getting a ton of content. But real quick, got to shout out my guys at patchvibes.com. I don't know how many times I could say fantastic merch. They have fantastic merch. They have Only Fins shirt instead of Only Fans. They got, Grier Father instead of Godfather with Chris Grier on it. Fantastic t-shirts, pins, patches, all that good stuff. Use the promo code DDW, get yourself 20% off, and check out Miami Sports Music, the website and the YouTube channel that I collaborate with. I'm a part of their network. Be sure to go over, check it out. Fantastic stuff. Now let's talk about Chris Grier's press conference. Like I said, I have not seen nor heard anything. So me going off of what they're saying, I'm going to give you a live instant reaction to it. I'm not going to play the video. I have the transcript in front of me. I'm going to read it and we're going to talk about it. So they ask him, how likely is it, or how much more open would you be to be towards listening? I can't read. To offers for the number 6 pick after the number 5 pick is made. You have any idea of what kind of draft board you're looking at 6? So essentially they're asking, Bengals make their pick, your phone's ringing off the hook because, say, the Falcons take Pitts, and then all of a sudden Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell goes to the Bengals, and you have, instead of, you take 4 quarterbacks first, you only take 3. There's more quarterbacks available, and watch, what if the 49ers don't take a quarterback? All of a sudden there's even more quarterbacks available. That's what essentially they're asking him, and he says, I think you said it right there. I think we'll always listen to everything. We've known that. I think you owe it to your team and your organization to always listen to any offers that may come or may not come. At the end of the day, as the draft falls and gets towards our pick, if someone wants to call and they make an aggressive pitch to us, we'll evaluate it, look at the board, and look at our options, and we'll make the decision best for the Miami Dolphins at that point. And of course, 100%. I have a feeling he's not going to say anything that's going to be outlandish or out of the realm of, oh my God, he said he's going to do this. But yeah, you look at your board and you see 4 guys, 3 guys that you want, right? And the number 9 pick calls you up, Denver Broncos, we want to switch with you. We'll give you a ton, right? We'll give you a 2 and a 3, whatever you want. And you look and you say, well, one of our guys that we want out of the top 4 will still be there at 9. Sure, why not? Why not move back? They're giving us a first and this, and they're giving us more than they probably should have for only moving up 3 spots. Let's take it because they're dumb, and we'll take advantage of it, of course. But if you get a phone call and, the guy you want is not going to be there at 9, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, we'll give you a 3rd. Hang that sucker up. So yes, he didn't say anything outlandish. They asked him, if there's a player that is taken in the top 10 that you feel like you missed on, would you guys have regret of trading out of 3? And that's the thing that a lot of people think, if the Falcons take Kyle Pitts, what the hell, we should have stayed at 3, blah, blah, blah. He says, no, I think we made our move. We had targeted a number of players that we liked, that we're comfortable with getting. So I think with us, when you make a move like we did and doing what we did to get back up, we're very comfortable where we are. But again, as I said, we always will always evaluate evaluate it, and draft changes, as you know. People fall for some reason unknown, or people select players for their roster based on their needs. We're comfortable where we are, and we feel very good where we are, and we won't have any regrets. That's 100% true, because everyone has their mock drafts. Everyone has, we have Trevor Lawrence going 1, Wilson going 2, and then we have the 49ers are taking a quarterback. Why else would they trade up to 3 unless they were going to take a quarterback? And now all of a sudden everyone's like, and the Falcons are going to take a quarterback, or they're going to trade out because someone. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be a quarterback. I guarantee 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be a quarterback. Watch the Jaguars take Trevor Lawrence. Watch the Jets take Justin Fields. Watch the Jets take Mac Jones. Watch the 49ers take Penei Sewell. Or watch them take Kyle Pitts, which doesn't make sense because they have, they bring in Williams and then Trent Williams and then they have Greg Little. But watch them take someone else, right? Let's just say for shits and giggles. And watch the Falcons take Pitts. And then watch the Penei Sewell go to the Bengals. All of a sudden, some of the top quarterbacks are sitting there at 6. A lot, and someone could fall. Giants took Josh Daniels super early, and a lot of great players fell because of that. Even I don't remember the exact player, but I remember the Raiders reaching hard for a defensive lineman. A lot of things can change. This guy had a second question. He says, the second question I had for you is kind of just of the opt-outs, how you envision them. I look at Tua, Austin Jackson, Noah Benogany, all having kind of something particular to them with being your first round picks last year. Do you look at the opt-outs as something being bigger than what they are, or do you look at it as players have missed time due to injury or missed some experience along the way? So essentially he's asking, like, how are you looking at the opt-outs? Do you think they shouldn't have missed on time or any of that stuff? And he says, I think in 2020 was such a unique year with the pandemic. All players had reasons for opting out, and I don't think it's right for us to hold it against any player, whether it's a family or we don't know all the circumstances until you get to this point and you talk to the players. But a lot of players opted out. You also have some schools programs 4 games. They played 4 games. Some played 10. So however you look at it, I wasn't going to be an apples to apples comparison around. But for us to sit here and judge players on opt-outs for their reasons why is unfair, and I think it's unrealistic. And I agree. I remember when Albert Wilson opted out. I remember when Alan Hearns opted out. I remember when all these players opted out. A lot of fans were getting bent backwards, or whatever you want to call it, bent out of shape, and you get paid to do this, and and it's the virus is nothing. It's still something people say. All this stuff. They have that right to opt out. They had the opportunity, they took it for their specific reasons. So no, like he said, he doesn't see them as anything other than that. They're coming back. Albert Wilson, Alan Hearns, they're coming back and they're going to compete. Will they make the team? It's not a guarantee. So we'll see what happens. Someone says, I'm wondering just your thoughts, your thinking for making the move, the trade coming down, then back up. So they want to know, why'd you go from 3 to 12 back up to 6? A lot of people want to know that. A lot of people, and he's not, I haven't even read it yet. I haven't even seen what he says, but he's not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you why I went from 12 to 6. Obviously, I went from 12 because the 49ers gave up 2 first-round picks. So we had two ones for the next 2 years. Yeah, I'm going to take that all day, every day. Why did I move back up to 6? I'm not going to tell you, but that's because I think Kyle Pitts is still going to be there. That's because I think Jamar Chase is still going to be there. That's because I think Devontae Smith is still. No. But this is what he said. We had a number of teams call us. They were talking about coming up to 3. We were comfortable being where we were. And once we evaluated, obviously San Francisco was very aggressive. They were very aggressive. They gave up 2 firsts with a great deal. John Lynch was very open and honest, transparent as we worked through it. So he told them why he moved up. So the Dolphins know who the 49ers are taking at 3, and they're comfortable with him. Okay, you can move up because you're not taking the guy we want. As we worked it through, we thought with the offers that we talked through, once they gave us the offer that we were comfortable with taking, we decided it was important for us to get back into the top 10. Yes, obviously, because there's a player they want in the top 10. Once it looked like San Fran could happen, we kind of reached out to a few teams just gauging whether they would want to move or not. Philly was a very good partner to work with. They worked with them before multiple times. They did a good job with us in terms of what we were looking for and what we were looking to do, and I give them a lot of credit. There were a lot of teams that wanted to wait. They wanted to wait and see. It took guts to make a move like that. So I give San Francisco and Philly both credit for doing that. So yeah, essentially he didn't say anything we didn't know already. Yeah, obviously at number 3, you get a ton of calls, especially because that's, if you want a top quarterback, number 3 was it. And we all knew they were going to move down. And then they want to get back in the top 10 because, like I said, there's probably a player in there that they want. Second part of that, does it bother you at all that you didn't get back more for this year? That the stuff that is coming out is the future. This year, you are weakened by those trades, which kind of makes sense, right? We don't have a 4th. We don't have a 6th. So he wants to know, you got future stuff. You got 2 1s in 2023, and, you traded your 1 for next year, and you got another 3. I think it's next year. You have 2 3s next year. You want to know, why didn't you do anything this year? I don't think we viewed it like that. We still had 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. I just viewed it completely different. We had a difference in opinion. We feel very good about it, and we also added a lot of stuff for the future, including 2 picks in 2023, 2 first-round picks in 2023. I don't even know. You should see the way they wrote this. I swear. It literally says, including 2 picks in 2023, 2 first-round picks in 2023. Why put the just anyway, at some point, I'm sure someone will ask the question, we picked 3 guys in the first round last year. We're going to keep adding young players and talent and growing. We feel good. We feel good about how things transpired for us. He didn't really give you anything. So, yeah. Then they ask him, I know Bill Parcells was a mentor of yours. He had a saying about height, weight, speed exceptions. What is your philosophy? So they're asking him, what's your philosophy on height, speed, weight, all that stuff? They ask, are you going to draft Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle, being height, speed, all that stuff? How does your philosophy impact evaluating those guys? He says it's all part of the evaluation, but every player tells their own stories as different players. I think the league has changed as well. There are more rules. It's more of an offensive league, which is 100% correct. There's no, hitting defenseless receivers. You can't touch a receiver within 5 yards. There's a ton of rules predicating towards the offense. You always evaluate, you always talk about it. But again, each player in their own case, those guys have shown that they've been good players at a high level playing in the SEC. That goes for a lot of players around the country. I just think the game has changed a little. So essentially, he doesn't answer the question about what he thinks about it. Essentially, he's saying that the game has changed. So back then, you wanted bigger physical guys because if not, they're going to get their heads ripped off. Whereas now it's not that way. You can go across the middle and not worry about getting targeted before you have the ball in your hands because that's hitting a defenseless receiver. You have to let the guy catch it first. So it's not as dangerous or as scary as it used to be. Also, you see a lot of smaller guys being very dangerous and very good in the NFL. Tyreek Hill is one of them. You saw Deshaun Jackson. You saw Marvin Allen. I think that's the name I'm thinking of. You see a lot of smaller guys being very productive in the NFL now. So it's a different league. Then they asked him, we talked to you about playmakers, and you've talked about wanting to get more playmakers. How much do you grade what Tua's skill set is, and what may be first best for him versus what you guys view as best prospect overall? So essentially they're asking, who are you getting guys just for Tua, or are you getting guys because they're good? He says, yeah, I think especially when you're picking where you're picking. Yeah, I think especially when you're picking where we are picking, you always look at your team, and Tua is a big part of that. A lot of people didn't think Tua was a part of that, but he is. I'm saying that. So as we build around what we're doing, yeah, you're always looking at what your quarterback does best. Predicate to him. Again, a lot of the past head coaches never did that. Philman, Gase, they were like, you're going to learn my offense versus I'm going to make you comfortable and make you have the best things for you to succeed, which it goes a long way with players. Look at Sam Darnold and what happened with him with the Jets. But you're also looking at weighing that versus the best player that is available for you for your team, because at the end of the day, it's always about the team. It's not about one player, one pick, one person. You've heard Brian Flores talk about the team first players that fit right. For us, it is just looking for the right player, the right person, the right fit for our team, as well as the mesh with the quarterback. Yes, 100%. You got to look at, you got to, it's all, like you said, it's all got to mesh together. Will they fit the offense? Will they fit what we need? Like, we don't need a Devontae Parker or Preston Williams, Will Fuller. We don't need those because we already have them. We need certain players, certain criteria, certain physicality that will fit with this. So need, want, all that stuff has to mesh in together. Then someone says, my question is about Tua. At the end of the season, you said you were very happy with his development. I wanted to ask you for an update in regards of what the team's communication's been with him this offseason. We've seen him post on social media with him training with some of the Dolphin receivers. I'll post a picture up of that. What type of benefit do you think that has with his with this full, healthy offseason for Tua heading into next season, and just the communication's been like with him? Chris Grier says, the communication has been great. Obviously, Flores had lunch with him and everything. He's been around. He's been working hard. I know he's working with the receivers. He's a very competitive kid, as you know. I think coming off an injury last year with no OTAs, no mini camp, and just being throwing in right away, that is a hard transition, especially with the rehab part he was doing. He's healthy now. I've seen a couple of videos. I'm not on social media very much. He's been working very hard. Our guys have been around and popped in and out there. He's been great with the players and the receivers he's been working with. Like I said, he's got to take the next step. He's been a winner everywhere he's been, and I'm really excited for him to have an offseason under his belt. I think he will be really important for him. And it's funny because I've said it time and time again. A lot of people want to compare Tua to Burrow to Herbert, and he sucked. Why did Herbert have all these yards? Why did this? Why did that? They're all different circumstances. They're all different things happening. Tua didn't have the chance to work out, didn't have the chance to get ready. It was rehab. He was never 100%. Never was 100%. Even when he started, I don't think he was really 100%. They'll tell you he's 100%. But after the seriousness of that hip injury, he was never really 100%. So his offseason consisted of rehab. Then all of a sudden, training camp for 2 weeks. Okay, you need to learn this playbook, learn the playbook. Also, hurry up and go rehab. And then they were like, oh, we feel like he's got a gist of the playbook. You're going to start against the Rams. We're going to see what you got. Here you go, kid. Go against the #1 defense in the NFL. Good luck. You did pretty well. People think you should have done better, but I think you did pretty well. So, yeah. And I think all of us expect him to do better this year with no rehabbing, with working with his players, with understanding the playbook. He needs to do better. If not, there's a problem, and we need to address it. The next one, they asked him about Kyle Van Noy and why he didn't make any big moves or sign any big players this year, which I think a lot of people want to know, even though they kind of addressed that. First, he talks about Kyle, and he said, Kyle did a good job for us last year and provided a lot of things, helped us win 10 games. A lot of our players on the roster that are no longer here. I wish him the best, but for us, we had some young players we were developing that we felt good about, and those guys needed to get on the field. At the end of the day, it was a decision we made as an organization going into it. We talked about the roster at the end of the season between Brian Flores and myself, the coaches and the scouts. At the end of the day, it was a move we made. In terms of the pass rush, we feel good about it. Like everything, we're always looking to keep upgrading. It's just such a unique year with the pandemic. So many teams releasing players taking 1-year deals on the cheap or below market value, as I should say, because of the low salary. For us, at the end of the day, we'll continue looking at and turning over the roster. We'll go through the draft here and look at free agents that are on the streets as well. So essentially, The reason they moved on from Kyle Van Noy is because Kyle Van Noy was kind of a progress stopper for like Andrew Van Ginkel or any of these other guys that were sitting behind him because he's the vet. He had more experience. He's a little bit better. He's a progress stopper. And that's why a lot of times you won't see certain positions bring in the veteran because you're stopping the progress of the younger, not better, but the younger guys behind them. So that's kind of the reason they moved on. And obviously, they didn't make any big splashy moves like we've all been saying because there's no money out there. The cap barely went up. So there's no money, and all these players wanted money. The Dolphins are like, nah, we'll have more money next season. We'll wait. You have like $70 million in cap space next year. Yes, they need to re-sign some players, but they're still going to have $70 million in cap space. Then they ask him about the players that opted out in 2020 and how you go about evaluating these players that opted out in 2020. Like, do you go off of the 2019 film? And he said, like I said earlier, I don't think we can hold that against these players. Even some of the guys that played this year only played 4 or 5 games because of the pandemic rules at their school. You go back, you watch the 2019 season, I think our scouts and coaches have all done great work, have done a great job of working through the process and spending time here getting to know these players. It's a challenging year. Every team is dealing with the same level of playing on the field. At the end of the day, you just get as much information as you can and rely on the relationship that scouts and coaches have the schools to really get to know these players. At the end of the day, you really can't punish these kids because, again, every team, every college is so different this year in terms of games played. So he didn't really answer it, but he said, we're looking at the 2019 film, but he said you can't really, get on these kids for opting out 2020, which I agree 100%. We don't know their circumstances or why they did it or whatever. But that was the biggest thing about this year, about this draft, is opt-outs, and we don't know. We don't know if these players would have progressed, if they would have regressed. We don't know. And they ask him about the running backs. How does he feel about the running backs, especially the upper echelon running backs in this year's class? He says every year it's always different. This year's class, they're good players at that position throughout the draft, just like last year, which they didn't take a running back last year. Last year, I know there were no backs, I think, taken in the first round, I believe, and there was a big run in the second and third round. People talk about valuing, and it was like, what is that word? And devaluing positions. At the end of the day, I think teams are always looking at their roster and evaluating, and good players get picked where teams feel that the value is for their roster. It's a good group of backs at the end of the day. Well, where they all fall, they're all good players, and they're being good players. And he didn't answer the question. Essentially said, none were drafted in the first round last year. They were all in the second and third round. He, in a nutshell, said people have them, developed and ranked in different positions, and they take them where they feel. He didn't answer the question. Then they asked him, essentially, you have 4 picks in the top 50. They are sitting at 6, 18, 36, and 50. And with those picks, do you see them as starters? And do you see them as contributing immediately? We had a lot of rookies last year contributing immediately. Now we have the youngest team in the NFL. He says, I think it all depends on where they fall. At the end of the day, some of these players, there will be starters and impact players. But again, you heard Brian Flores say it, and I love the statement that when they're coming in, no one is a starter in April, which, I agree 100%. Everyone competes. Guys these rookies have to come in, and there's such a transition for them to learn. I think that's why you always see guys that take those huge jumps, the second-year jumps, like Andrew Van Ginkel for us last year. I think Mike Gesicki did a few years ago, made a jump after his rookie year when people are unsure of him, which, a lot of people were like, is Mike Gesicki really anything? And all of a sudden, boom, he showed up. I think with all of these guys, you preach patience for them a little bit, but I know because a first-round or a second-round pick, you'd like them to be an impact player right away. And they may be, but it may be subtle to where the coaching staff and personnel staff, we feel good about it, and you're just waiting for the public to see it. I feel like that's a little bit of a hint dropped in there because a lot of people want to say Noah Benogany is a bust. A lot of people are getting on Tua Tagovailoa. A lot of people think that Austin Jackson isn't, we should have taken him. I think that little line there, and they may be, but it's maybe subtle to where the coaching staff and the personnel staff, we all feel good about it. You're just waiting for the public to see it. So yeah, I like that. I liked what he said there. And the last question they asked him is, how much does the coaching staff and Brian Flores' ability to develop players weigh in on getting more draft picks? And he says that's part of it. We're not afraid to make picks. At the end of the day, we'll make the picks, but we have a great confidence that this coaching staff has shown that they can develop players and get the best out of them. That's the exciting part of it, listening to them and the thought process in which those guys coach every day, and the details that Brian Flores and his staff are on is what makes it fun here. The players know that, and they appreciate it. Find those right types of guys that love to work and do everything. It's very important because we know those players can get even better. So that's the exciting part of working with Brian and his staff. Yes, there's certain players that want certain things and want to be impactful and want to be the star and this and that. And then there's certain players who are team guys. What do you need me to do, coach? Where do you need me to go, coach? I'll do that. Yes, sir. And they work. I'm not going to say his name, but Mika Fitzpatrick. Mika Fitzpatrick, I liked him. I liked when we drafted him, but he kind of, towards the end of it, kind of seemed like a me guy. And that's not going to work with Brian Flores. And that's not going to work with what he's trying to install in this team. Because for a team to be successful and for a team to win games, all 11 players need to work as one. Because if there's a hiccup somewhere, or if there's a hiccup in the offensive line, defensive line, pass, it's going to cause, turmoil. There's a ton of times with Adam Gase where certain players had to cover for other people because they weren't in their right spots, and then all of a sudden it all got haywired. So yes, essentially. But Chris Grier's press conference, he really gave much, which you expect. Why would he say anything when it comes to who they want to pick? Yes, they'll take phone calls at 6, especially if they could still get the player they want, dropping down a few spots. But in a nutshell, he really didn't say much. He praised the team, praised Tua, praised the coaching staff, and that's it. But be sure to comment below. Let me know what you guys think of what Grier had to say. And I'm going to get to one of you guys' comments of the day. And I went to Twitter, and I asked you guys on Twitter, hey, who wants comment of the day? This one comes from Russell Grace, and he says, comment of the day. Given that Devontae Smith was unscathed for 4 years at Alabama, including returning punts, is there a high probability he'd be successful in the NFL, even at 166 pounds? It's a very good question, especially because it came out today that he weighs 166 pounds at the pro day, finally released, almost a week, 8 days before the draft, what his actual weight is. And everyone is getting into an uproar. He's not 170. He's not 175. He's skinny. He's going to die in the NFL. He's going to get hit, concussions, broken balls, yada, yada. Bones, I said, not balls, broken bones. But yeah, 100%. Like Russell said, he barely was injured. Played 4 years at Alabama, returning punts, all that stuff. But I will say this, Russell, and I will say this about a lot of players. It's a big but. Yes, he's coming into the NFL, played 4 seasons, started 4 seasons with Alabama, did punt returns, was taking big hits, bouncing off of them, getting back up, all that good stuff. But we've seen players like Jake Long, who was never injured in college, came to the NFL, played for the Dolphins, consistently injured. But then we've seen players like Frank Gore, his last year playing for the Hurricanes, if I'm correct, 2 ACL injuries in the same year. Coming to the NFL, still playing to this year, and barely injured, ever injured. So to go off of that and to say, look how injured they were in college, they're going to be injured in the NFL, and the other way around. They were never injured in college, so they're never going to be injured in the NFL. It doesn't really work like that because we've seen the opposite, but then we've also seen it, that work out that way. So I don't know, but I think, like Russell was saying, it's a good sign for Devontae Smith that he did play all 4 years. He took big hits. He was on punt return, and he barely got injured. I think he got injured in the championship game last year, and that's it, or this year. That's it. Never really got injured. So it's a good sign for him. And like I said, there was a ton of receivers that played that were small, skinny guys. Even, Chad Johnson came to the NFL at around 170. So, yeah. If the Dolphins take him, I'd be happy. I think Devontae Smith's a great wide receiver. I'm talking about this more on Tuesday, who I'd like them to go for. I don't have a number one because there's many options for the Dolphins. But thank you for the comment, Russell. Again, if you guys want to be part of Comment of the Day, just say Comment of the Day in your comment below or hit me up on Twitter and say Comment of the Day. And then I'm like, okay, you want to be part of the Comment of the Day? I'll put yours aside. Because sometimes I don't pick yours for this video, but I do save the comments of the day. So I have a whole database of comments of the day where I'll pick it. So if you went on Twitter when I asked you for comment of the day and I didn't pick yours, I might pick yours for tomorrow's video or the day after. I always look at it and read your comments, so be sure to comment. But other than that, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about linebackers tomorrow. And like I said, on Monday, we're going to be talking about tomorrow being Friday. I'm recording this Wednesday night. I think I'm going to release this Wednesday night. So Friday, I'm going to be talking linebackers. And then on Monday, I'm doing a double header with Professor Clump and Jason Sarney. We're talking secondary. But other than that, guys, like usual, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Stay classy. Fence up.